Are and what they have in their hands. Aaron Schwartz up against Corey Lurch, both players at 2-0. Looks like we have Azorius Artifacts up against Izzet Prowess. Aaron is on a Malta 5, but pretty good start here with the talent. And that's not a magic card.
That's a magic carp, in fact.
It is.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, great start here. I think we're going to see a lot of this on camera, where it's just sort of an Izzet player against somebody trying their best to beat Izzet. You know, let's bring on all challengers. And Corey, in particular, has, as far as I could tell, a unique deck in the field. It's not totally unheard of to see an artifact-based strategy, you know, blue based on Simulacrum's synthesizer or whatever else it might be. Yeah. But I think Corey has a somewhat unique take on the archetype. It's brought him to 2-0 so far, and this is the real test, right? If he can hang against the most popular and successful deck in the field, then things might bode well for him. Yeah.
It's kind of interesting to see a lot of players bring in decks where they don't entirely care what the Izzet deck is doing. They just want to do their own thing. And to a degree, the Azorius Artifacts deck feels like that. It's just like, okay, cool, these are the cards I need. This is what I'm going to do to just overwhelm you. And I don't really care what you're doing so long as I'm not dead before I get to do the thing.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it, because one of the strengths of Izzet is it's so challenging to keep them down on a one-for-one basis. You know, things like Corey Steelcutter and later in the game stock ups, sometimes some sideboard options. Like, it's just never going to slow down. It's never going to take its foot off of the gas pedal. So alternatively, you could just try to go over the top.
Yeah.
So that's Simulacrum Synthesizer, it's Omniscience, it's Domain Overlords. And yeah, I think that's sometimes a more appealing approach to the matchup, rather than just saying, okay, I'm going to play a million spot removal spells.
Yeah, because after a while, you know, you're just not going to have the answer for the creatures that you need. And like you said, it's just pedal to the metal, foot down the entire time. This deck is relentless if it's doing what it wants to do. As we see stock up cost here, Aaron just refilling his hand, finding all of the card draw needed to basically undo that multi 5.
Okay, Simulacrum Synthesizer, which that's quite a tongue twister.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to be saying it as much as I can through the course of this match. But this is the key card, and getting to have multiples this early, in fact, turn 3, turn 4, is sort of the ideal setup. With each additional turn that Corey gets in this game, I'm not sure how many that will be, but he's just going to explode onto the battlefield with massive constructs that grow bigger for each artifact he can cast, for each construct he can create. And I think Aaron's really going to need something special, including probably an Air Force, because the ground is going to get clogged up pretty quickly. And he's going to need to really put pressure on the game to close in a timely fashion, or else he's going to get buried.
I believe in this small otter. Storm Chaser's talent on level 2 now, so getting back a card from the graveyard. Stock up was the pick.
Right, so this is an example of what we were saying a moment ago, where Aaron's strategy is, it's really grindy. You know, I'm going to cast stock up, sculpt my hand, pick up the stock up to do it again. So that would be super effective against, for example, a control opponent who's trying to wipe the board, kill creatures, counter spells. But that is not what Corey is doing. Corey is just going to amass a huge battlefield, make the biggest creatures you know, that he can, and I think Aaron's going to pretty quickly shift to being on the back foot and have to defend his own life total. So a strategy that would work under the right conditions, but I think these are the wrong conditions for the stock up Storm Chaser's talent plan out of Izzet.
So plenty of permanence on Corey's side of the board there. Aaron still trying to cobble together something to stop what Corey's up to. Into the Floodmaw, great answer for these constructs, but certainly not a permanent one.
Yeah, you see that life total of 15, it's just too high. You know, if Corey was at 7, maybe we could talk about this game being close and competitive, where maybe Aaron can get a flurry of action, use these tempo spells, sneak in some unblocked attackers, and close the game. But I think Corey is just pretty comfortable here in terms of life total. He's even got the candy trail, and the value of the artifact deck is going to start to accumulate in a really problematic way if you're Aaron Schwartz.
Who would have thunk Candy Trail would be played in a competitive setting, huh?
Not I.
I guess you just want a critical mass of artifacts to get these constructs as big as possible. But, you know, this little otter is going to be a good blocker for the time being. All right. So, back to the action here. Stock up once again for Aaron. 5 cards, huh? Jeez. This card's not okay. It's pretty good, actually.
Yeah, that's correct. It is not okay. As a person who's played plenty of divination in Constructed, you know, you just feel like you're getting away with something when it comes to stock up. Also similar to one of my old favorite cards, Dig Through Time, which, you know, really powerful in its own right. It's been restricted and banned in various formats, but that one you at least have to work for, right?
Yeah. You don't just get, you know, all that value for 3 whole mana. But Into the Floodmaw is found now. No gift given. Rude. And that massive construct is out of there. What is the construct count? 1, 2, 3.
0 so far,
well,
but hold your breath on that, because it only takes a single turn where Corey could plausibly put 4 onto the battlefield.
Yeah.
He's been scrying, he's drawn extra cards.
And plenty of artifacts, mana value 3 or greater, to create some more of those friends. $17 to $20, life totals not doing much moving at the moment. In fact, none at all as we go back up to 20. That's like we just joined the game. It just started.
Yeah. Candy Trail reminds me of Carrot Cake in the white tokens deck, where both cases it's like, okay, I'm going to draw a card, gain some life, just accumulate all these little bits of value, and it's sometimes just exactly what you need, the glue that holds your deck together. Wow, here's a cool one, Perilous Snare.
Nice, I like this
which,
card.
You know, using a 3-mana spell take care of an otter token is not what you're excited about, but when you get 2 6/6 constructs for your troubles, starts to look a lot better.
Yeah, not too shabby. You know, this artifacts deck just kind of feels like a bunch of draft commons and uncommons slapped together.
That's exactly what it is. It's the 4 Simulacrum synthesizers, which is just a totally busted card, amazing, and then whatever you need to put together in order to support it. And yeah, you can see that 4 9/9 constructs, or even 10/10, and that's enough for Aaron to just concede.
Oh boy. All right. So I bet this is not a deck that the Izzet Prowess players came expecting. So what in the sideboard would you see coming in here from Aaron's side?
The ones that jump off the page are Abrade. You know, any card that says destroy an artifact is kind of a no-brainer. But Spell Pierce also, because most of Corey's, in fact, all of Corey's cards are non-creatures.
Yeah,
so
no creatures in this deck.
Yeah, I mean, if Aaron's able to just counter Corey's best spell for 1 mana, perhaps on a turn where Aaron's able to double spell, like put out a hasted attacker, play sleight of hand, make an attack, pass the turn, Spell Pierce your play. It only takes 1 or 2 turn cycles of that kind of brutal efficiency before the game is out of reach for Corey. So Spell Pierce, I think, is going to be a huge one. And I'll mention, that doesn't sound like a dramatic change where it's like, okay, 3 cards, they're not really auto win cards. It's more about efficiency and small upgrades. But when you're talking about a deck that has 4 sleight of hand, 4 stock up, 4 opt, it's suddenly these cards show up a disproportionate amount of time. And as I said, it doesn't take much for the Izzet deck to go from just barely losing to just barely winning in these close games.
Yeah, and from the other side of things, Corey, I'm looking at those temporary lockdowns. This card has been an all-star in these Izzet Prowess matchups because, fun fact, most of their things are 2 mana or less.
Absolutely, and there's some interesting tension in that temporary lockdown can exile some of Corey's cards, including, he's not going to want to cast it if he has a board of 4/9/9 constructs like last game. But I think a lot of players, who came with white decks in this tournament, they're just sort of embracing that tension and saying, okay, temporary lockdown is a powerful enough effect against Izzet that I just want access to it, and I'm going to use my judgment based on the way the game's playing out, if and when I want to cast a lockdown or how I want to sequence my cards around it.
Well, friends, if you are enjoying this weekend's action, we have 2 very special sponsors to say thank you for helping us make this possible. Big shout out to Beckett and to Dragon Shield. If you would like to get your cards graded and then keep them protected, Beckett and Dragon Shield have got you covered. Yes, unintentional pun, but here we are, friends. So big thank you to them and to everyone else working at this event to bring the action for the regional championship here from Hartford.
It's got to be a good feeling, Ailey, to be 2-0 up a game with your homebrew deck. Just be like, hey, I've done it. Like, I've got the deck of the tournament here that everyone's going to be talking about next week.
It's sweet.
And of course it's early, so that happens, plenty of times, and then people wind up not converting to a big finish, but it's a great start, and I think to do it in your own way is a really cool and special thing.
There have been a lot of players recently who've done something that it basically becomes the meta, and I can't remember who it was, but this person who made the deck ended up winning the entire regional championship end of last year, I think it was. So that was super sweet. I think it was Pioneer.
Yeah.
So it's awesome when that happens, for sure.
Lots of room to innovate in Standard with a deep card pool, lots of powerful cards. We should mention, actually, this is
Are you kidding me?
A big sideboard card that we did not flag, but the full 4 copies of Authority of the Consuls for Corey. Really powerful against the haste creatures of Izzet, really powerful against Corey Steelcutter. And we talked about how these games are close. It just takes a little bit of extra oomph to get over the finish line. And Authority of the Consuls can be the extra bit that Corey needs on his side.
Yeah. I hate this card, so it's probably why I just glossed over it. Because I like to go fast. I like it when my creatures go boom, shoom, towards your face, right? But that doesn't happen with that down. And then every single creature you're making is just giving Corey life. So I hope the Sunspine Lynx made an appearance off the sideboard too.
Right, yeah, good call. So Sunspine Lynx, not just for the enters the battlefield trigger, which can be powerful its own right, but also that can't gain life clause against a pretty large number of life gain cards in Corey's deck.
Yeah. Let's see, how many are there? So we know there's Authority. We know there's the Candy Trail. Pretty sure he's got others that gain life as well. And like Clay-Fired Bricks, I think, is one.
Yep, that one gains 2 life. I'll confess that I didn't study the back sides of all of these craft with artifact cards in advance, but you never know.
I don't think I've ever seen anyone craft them, honestly. So we'll be fine until that happens. We've just commentators cursed ourselves, though. So.
Well, can't possibly have to know this.
Yeah, the backside of what is it? Clay-Fired Bricks is Cosmium Kiln. Let's flip that over. Let's see what that is. Oh, it makes friends. Okay, it makes friends, and then it's an Anthem effect. Cool. That's not too shabby. Alrighty, as things stand though, got a couple spells cast here. Monastery Swift Spear doing its best. And, oh, it's a monster now, courtesy of Monstrous Rage. So I feel like it's going to be, you know, a one-man show here as much as possible for Aaron. Just try and get the biggest creature you can to do the most amount of damage and not give any more life where possible.
Yep. Yes, I would say, you know, a really nice, borderline ideal start for both players, with Aaron just curving 1, 2, 3 with the most powerful cards in Izzet. But I really like what Corey has been able to do, and especially it might be exactly what he needs to win on the draw against a good hand from Izzet, with multiple Authority of the Consuls into his key card Simulacrum Synthesizer. But here he is met with Disdainful Stroke, and this is what we talked about, these couple of key sideboard permission spells coming in clutch at the right moments for Aaron can be big difference makers.
Yep. Disdainful Stroke. Keeping a big throw off the board there.
So Aaron untaps with 4 power against 10 life from Corey. If he can cast 3 spells, he can assemble a lethal attack.
Gee, I don't know if the Izzet deck could do that, Reed.
Stock up, so find 2 1-mana cards or a Monstrous Rage. Either one should do the trick.
Yep.
Granted, it can't be a card that puts a creature on the battlefield, because that would cause Corey to gain life. So like Storm Chaser's Talent may not do it, but
also there's the Corey Steel Cutter that triggers, right? It's not a.
Oh, great point. That is not optional.
Life,
So basically, Aaron's gonna have to deal 12 damage, which would be possible if he finds a Monstrous Rage, but looks like the game's gonna continue.
All right. So not going for another spell here. Keeping the 2 life to himself and getting in there for still a big chunk of damage. What's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7? Perhaps. Oh. More. That's the second spell, though.
Okay, so as you mentioned, mandatory creation of a tapped monk that gives Corey 2 life. So I'm counting 8. If you start with both creatures being 2 power prowess, now you've cast 2 non-creature spells, up to 8. Still would need to be Monstrous Rage exactly.
Monstrous Rage or Bust.
Or maybe Burst Lightning. Is Burst Lightning in? Yes. Burst Lightning would do the trick as well. That may not be in after sideboarding, though.
What you got? There we go. Alrighty, Monstrous Rage, the bane of every blocking player it's standard at the moment. But getting the job done there for Aaron Schwartz. That was really tricky. Lucky he found that.
Yeah, so is it really threading the needle there? I was about to say, oh, what was the key card in that game? But really, it was everything. Every single card played contributed to an exact lethal kill. So, you know, this is what's so strong about the deck, is like all your lands usually enter the battlefield untapped. All your cards cost a really low amount of mana. Sometimes trade for cards that cost more mana on the other side of the battlefield, as you know, illustrated by this Disdainful Stroke off the sideboard. But really brutal, especially when Izzet has a good draw on the play. Sometimes it just doesn't even matter what cards you brought, because you either don't get time to cast them, they get countered, or you know, they're rendered ineffective in some other way.
Yeah. Well, friends, if you are interested in buying or selling some cards, be sure to go and check out SCG, sellyourcards.starcitygames.com. Get some extra cash, buy the new staples that you're looking for in whatever format you're playing. Chances are, if you're looking for it, Star City Games will have it. Yeah, I gotta say, playing this Izzet Prowess deck, it feels like cheating almost. Just with the amount of card draw, the amount of power that you can put down on the board. I mean, I had a couple games yesterday where I was playing Drake Hatchers on turn 2, and then dealing enough damage to make 2 Drakes on their end step.
Wow,
at the end of turn 3.
That's a lot.
It's crazy.
That's a lot.
Like this card is a sweet inclusion. I really like it in the Izzet lists.
So this time, Corey gets to go first, and he has, similar to in Game 1, the turn 2 Iron Crag to jump out ahead on mana. No Authority of the Consuls this game, so it's going to be a different, different texture. Aaron taking some time to set up, but the nice thing about this Izzet deck is as you're taking your time to set up, you're also getting to attack for 3 damage on turn 2.
Feels nice.
I wonder if the double basic island could be a little bit problematic, as it could hamper Aaron's ability to play multiple red spells on a future turn.
Oh, goodbye, Otter. Spring-loaded Saw Blades. There we go. We got there. Coming in and taking care of the attacking creature.
Corey brought a tongue twister deck.
Jeez. No kidding. It's too early for this. I haven't had coffee yet. And then followed up with the clay-fired bricks. So artifacts flowing nicely there for Corey Lurch. Both players hoping to remain undefeated. Excellent way to start off their regional championships here in Hartford.
Yeah, a little bit of a concerning turn there for Aaron. So we flagged the 2 basic islands, which is definitely not the optimal lands to start on from the Izzet deck. Then he began his turn 3 with main phase opt, which to me indicates like, hey, I'm searching for a land, or otherwise I have an awkward hand, need something. Did find Shivan Reef, but again, just much different texture in that Aaron doesn't have a creature out unloading damage.
Yep. Here comes the namesake card for Corey, Simulacrum Synthesizer. Any following 3 mana artifact or greater will start making very large creatures. So, Aaron, you got to keep digging here, friend. 2 opts in a row here now. Digging, digging, digging.
We flagged Spell Pierce as a key card after sideboarding, but because Corey has done such a nice job in this game between accelerating his own mana with Iron Crag and removing Aaron's aggression with the spring-loaded Saw Blades, now he's bought himself enough time that he could just play around Spell Pierce. Like, hey, here's my best card with 2 mana open. What are you going to do about it? Yeah. You have 1 Abrade in your whole deck list that can remove it from the battlefield.
Okay, that's a good find here for Aaron. Stock up, 5 cards seen now, so a couple lands in there. Any downside to stock up is it doesn't say reveal, so we don't get to see them.
Yep. But it's okay. Basically, when somebody plays stock up, you can just assume they have the best card every turn for the rest of the game.
Yes. That's a safe assumption. Turn passes back here now. So we see Braided Net. I could not tell you what this does off the top of my head, but I bet it's something funky. It makes a construct under that much. It gets counters on it, and you can tap things. Okay, cool. So it basically just catches some stuff. Okay.
Okay, so here comes, in response to the Braided Net, Aaron is going to make the tempo play of Into the Floodmaw on Simulacrum Synthesizer. So the result is Corey winds up with a fish and not a construct. That's a
fair trade, right?
Yeah, fair trade.
Robot for a fish.
The synthesizer does get the additional Scry 2 on its way back down. So definitely a temporary reprieve from Aaron's perspective, where, okay, I have to give my opponent, card advantage because I'm spending a card from my hand to bounce a permanent rather than kill it permanently.
Yeah.
I have to give my opponent another ability to scry, so next turn Corey's going to untap with a good draw step and 6 or 7 mana available to him. So really the pressure is on Aaron. He's bought himself this small window of time, and he has to use it to great effect, or else he's going to continue falling further and further behind.
Yep. Corey Steelcutter, good start here at least, with no blockers on the field. Monastery Swift Spear as well joins the fray, and now we get to the punchies step. Oopsie.
Oh no, Corey kind of accidentally flipped his hand there when he knocked the playmat. I only saw one card, which was a land, but if the other card is something nice, or if he was able to scry something to the top, he could still have a great turn. Not to mention, there are all these craft with artifact abilities that are sitting there on the battlefield, which so he's going to have something to spend his mana on one way or another.
Yeah, I guess that is the nice thing about this deck, is you always have a decision to make, something to do, so long as your opponent's not applying too much pressure. And now, an untapped fish. I really want to go doodle a fish there. I want to draw it for them.
Yeah, if the commentary doesn't work out, you could be a table artist for these feature matches.
Yeah, table doodler. Another braided net. So 3 more net counters, 3 more ways to tap things down. That's at least one way to stem the bleeding here. So Corey's doing a good job of keeping himself alive. And we should get a construct here.
Right, yeah.
If this is resolved. Don't forget about your robot, Nian. Okay. Big thank here from Corey. So deep in the tank. May have missed his trigger on synthesizer. Unless the tokens have gone AWOL.
Yeah, so for those who not familiar with tournament dynamics, if your card has a triggered ability and you do not execute it in the proper way, it is possible to just skip through it and unfortunately not wind up with a construct at the end of everything. This is something that totally happens to everybody when you play, especially in a game like this where there's just so much to think about, so many moving pieces. We even forgot, like, the synthesizer was on the battlefield, then bounced to the hand, now on the battlefield again. So, yeah, we'll see. You usually have, like, a pretty generous, fair window to get it. And here now Corey is remembering, maybe just the players check with a judge to make sure everything's agreed upon, and then you can continue with the turn. Yep.
And it looks like we are, in fact, crafting with artifact. Braided Quipu is the card that can draw a card for each artifact you control, and then this goes back into your deck third from the top. That's pretty sweet.
Wow.
It's expensive, but sweet.
Yeah, it's a lot of mana, but it could be just what Corey needs here, where he's invested a lot of resources into sort of stalling the game, slowing things down, and then if he has enough time to invest this mana and draw a whole handful of cards, it could be, you know, sort of the precursor to the killing blow.
It's a more roundabout way of drawing a whole bunch of cards, but certainly a pretty sweet one for the archetype. It does just look like the judges are confirming something, probably about a craft ability of sorts, I would imagine. This isn't a deck that you see very often. Let's see how many people bought it here this weekend.
Also, follow up on the question of creating the construct. It's all about how the players communicate with each other. So for all we know, Corey may have verbally announced making the construct and just there was a delay in actually representing it. But yeah, just as long as the players and the judges agree on what the game state should look like, then everyone's happy.
Looks like we are going wide now. Aaron Schwartz making a bunch of bunks. He's got another stock up on the stack or about to resolve.
It's tough though with, you know, even though this is a really impressive army, with everything just attacking on the ground against the construct being the largest creature on the battlefield, it's really tough. You know, also you add in braided nets or a well-placed removal spell, and suddenly it's like, okay, one of my creatures getting tapped, one of them's getting eaten by the construct. I can force through, you know, 4 or 6 damage, but Corey's still at 18.
Yep. As you mentioned, braided net will have a net counter removed, and the unequipped Monk is going to get tapped down. Corey deciding if he wants to do anything else before attacks are declared. I do appreciate how he lays out the graveyard over there.
Yeah, and no graveyard for Corey,
yeah.
which is interesting. His cards have been exiled, they've been bounced, they've been everything, but not actually destroyed or put into the graveyard. Okay, so one of these monks was tapped. One is getting, you know, presumably killed by the construct. Monastery Swiftspear is getting chump blocked by the fish token. So again, remember that Into the Flood Maw, it does come with a cost.
Yep.
The gift must be given. So Aaron's going to be able to push some damage, but at a reasonable cost.
Oh, nice.
Or not.
Spring-loaded Soul Blades. The fish lives! Long live the fish.
We have a 6/6 construct that's, even with a couple prowess triggers, really tough to get through.
Yeah. It's a pretty good blocker, and Corey's doing an excellent job of preserving his life total here. Now, as this game goes on, you've got to think Corey is firmly in the driver's seat the longer this game goes.
I would say so, yeah. The more opportunities he has to activate his abilities, craft to get more powerful artifacts, trigger the Simulacrum Synthesizer, it's just going to get worse and worse for Aaron. Granted, like, Aaron is competing in this game, right? He's taking relevant actions, he's drawing cards, he's pushing damage, so it's not over, but I do think this is what Corey designed his deck to do. And drawing 5 cards, I mean, that's a good feeling.
I think it was 7.
7?
Yeah. I saw them both count, and then he was like, oh yeah, 7. That's a brand new hand. You like a windfall? Have a windfall.
Yeah, brand new hand.
Jeez. Yeah, that's pretty sweet. Okay. And the one thing I will say about the standard meta, Frank Carson did a follow-up of the most recent regional championships from around the world, is that you can find success with almost anything. Like, obviously, the more a deck is played, statistically, it's just going to do better. But, you know, we saw a couple of decks like Orzhov Pixie, which kind of fell out of favor, doing really well at a recent RC as well. We've seen some other really cool ones like the Rakdos. I don't know if you saw the Gix Dragon Engine Reanimator deck.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, so there's been some crazy, I won't say brews, but, you know, rogue decks, as it were, doing very well at these events.
And one thing I'll say is, okay, we have, what, almost 400 people playing Izzet this weekend, plus similar dynamics at previous regional championships. We sort of have seen what this deck can do. We've seen the card choices, the sideboard options. However, when you have Azorius Artifacts, a deck that maybe 5 people are playing in the field, there can definitely still be room to innovate, find the right configuration of cards, unlock some cool combos, maybe pilot it in a way that other people haven't done before you. So it's exciting to think about there might be some untapped potential in some of these fringe archetypes like the one that Corey Lurch has brought.
And doubtless you'll be seeing plenty of the big testing teams iterating and finessing and tweaking and fiddling with as many different archetypes as they possibly can before the next big events, like the Pro Tour coming up in Vegas shortly.
Yeah, that's going to be exciting. I mean, Standard's already exciting just from what we're covering this weekend, but with the new Final Fantasy set coming out, which looks to be a really powerful one, it's going to be like new archetypes, infusing interesting new cards into these existing decks, so a lot to think about.
Yeah, so don't think we're going to be stuck seeing Corey Steelcutter for the next 3 years, friends. I doubt that'll be the case.
I will say, Ailey, one of my favorite cards that's been previewed so far is Cloud.
Yeah.
Who is kind of like a Stoneforge Mystic style creature where you get to search for an equipment.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh, hey, one of the best cards in Standard is already an equipment, so this might slot in pretty nicely.
Ain't that handy? Oh, yeah, 4 people are playing artifacts here this weekend. So, a small group, a commander pod, if you will, playing this archetype. And both players slowing things down here, deciding what the best target is, who's getting tapped, who's getting eaten. And these monks, they're just going to keep going.
Yeah, so once again, Corey just trying to keep his head above water against the swarm from the Izzet deck, but each time the construct defends well. There's the fish token that can absorb some damage. The braided nets tap something down. Does he have another play, an instant speed effect that he can add from his hand?
He did just draw 7 whole new cards, so I will be gobsmacked if he doesn't have an answer here, as we see Monstrous Rage on the stack targeting a monk.
Yeah, I love this. So Monstrous Rage on the monk to be able to trample over the blocking fish token. And also it's like, normally you don't want to play a combat trick into your opponent's open mana.
Yeah.
But what is Aaron really investing here? It's a token creature that he got for free.
Yeah.
So the nightmare scenario where Corey has, a spring-loaded saw blade, some kind of removal spell, it's like, all right, you got me 1-for-1 against my Monstrous Rage.
On the plus side, at least, all of the other surviving tokens will get the +1/+1 from the Prowess trigger. So there's that. He's got that going for him, which is nice. So not that much of an investment. Again, the fish survives. MVP.
So did you happen to catch what is the status of that Slick Shot show off? I think maybe it was cast and tapped before blockers, but could be,
yes, I think so, yeah, because I think I saw the braided net tapping it down.
Right. So it's not plotted. That's
No.
on the battlefield, just kind of neutralized for now.
Sleepy.
Just sleepy. It's all tied up.
Yeah. And the one other interesting thing, as Standard has developed, Corey goes down to 10, is that this town ain't big enough. Apparently it wasn't actually big enough, because that card is almost in not very many decks this weekend.
Fascinating development. Yeah, I thought that was going to be basically a pillar of Standard, the combination of Storm Chaser's talent plus this town ain't big enough. But it seems enough new cards have been printed and things are moving fast enough that a lot of players are just opting out of that whole package.
I'm personally okay with it because I cannot stand having my things bounced.
Yeah.
It's the most infuriating thing in the world.
No kidding.
Like, kill it. It's fine. I'd be happier. But now I have to pay mana for it again? Ugh. Here comes another construct. Ooh, so second synthesizer now. Oh, we're going to make so many robots.
And we're approaching that stage in the game where Aaron is going to be unable to push damage on the ground. So really leaning on stuff like Slick Shot show off, but there's still one more counter on braided nets. So it's a while before Aaron's going to have any prospects of something new and exciting. This is the United Battlefront.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a card I have not yet seen resolve ever in my lifetime. It's, this is the card I open in every booster pack when I'm drafting Tarkir, and it's like, okay, this is useless unless you've built a constructed deck exactly like what Corey has come up with.
Spell Pierce. No. Pays. It resolves. Yay! We get to see it. I misread this card horribly. I thought it was creatures. It's not.
It's like a collected company for non-creatures.
Yeah. So not as cool, but in this deck, very good.
Yeah, I suspect we're going to see it have a powerful effect right now.
And also, I'm pretty sure there's a couple more braided nets in hand there, because once it does the 4-card draw, it goes 3 cards deep, and then he drew 7 cards, so...
That's a nice combo, so basically guaranteeing you can have a good hit. And yeah, you see just the squeeze tighten from Corey's side of the battlefield. So now it's like,
Holy moly.
hey, any of your haste creatures are entering the battlefield tapped due to authority of the consuls. I have 2 braided nets. So you need to present 3 relevant attackers before you can do anything.
Oh, no.
I have all these blockers on the ground. So, you know, the scope of relevant plays Aaron Schwartz can make is just narrowing and narrowing.
Good grief. How big is that guy? He was on 18, goes down to 6. That's a 12-12.
Big enough.
It's got to be more than that. Come on, there's so much crap on the board there. Jeez. This has been a fascinating game 3 here. It almost feels like Aaron stole game 2, but that's going to be enough to do it. Aaron ran out of gas. Corey just has all the answers there, and a good old death robot building machine.